Hey, Daily Dosers, Austin Payne here. 2021 was quite the year, right? And we thought 2020 was bad. And yet you look back on 2021 and in some ways it feels like it was 10 years long, and in other ways it feels like it didn't really happen at all. Like all of a sudden I'm flipping over my calendar to 2022, and when we look back and you think about this concept of hindsight being 2021, LOL. There's something about a hard year that can really develop character. One of my favorite little teensy tiny books is a book called The Tale of Three Kings, where it talks about David, Saul, and Absalom. That these three kings in the Old Testament, and most of us think that we have this heart of David, and hopefully not the adulterous side, but like the heart after a man after God's own heart side of things. And yet most of us are probably either Absalom or Saul, right? Saul was the king that wanted to hold on to his power and was insecure and prideful and fearful that somebody was going to take his throne. And then Absalom was the king that pushed up against his father's throne, that said, it's my time to be on the throne. It's my time to reign. And really the invitation of this book is to have an open posture, an open palm posture of going, God, what if I have to wait to be in leadership, or if I have to wait for your plan to unfold in my life, God, would I wait patiently like David did? And then if it's somebody else's time to come and lead, right, the posture of going like, all right, God, like, would your will be done, even if it's not me? And I love the invitation of that book. But the beginning of the book, it kind of has this funky word picture where there's these angels waiting and God giving these destinies to the angels, and there's these two kings, and it's kind of this fun word picture of before they came to earth, that there's these two destinies, and one of them's Saul's destiny is this powerful, exteriorly handsome and tall, and it says that this destiny, he's going to carry this power, but really the external power and the success, all it does is reveals character. And then when it gives David's destiny, it says that there's going to be this contrite spirit, this somebody who's going to struggle a lot, somebody who's going to go through the depths of sorrow, right? If you've read the Psalms before, you see how much of David's life was crying out to when he felt like God was so distant. And the book says that kind of destiny, it builds character. And when I think about 2021, I really think about the amount of pain and brokenness and anxiety and depression that maybe we walked through, and the loneliness. And I really think it's this opportunity for God to build character in us. And I love the promise of Jesus in John chapter 16. And it's kind of a love-hate for me of the promise, but he says this in verse 33 of chapter 16. He says, I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I've overcome the world. And there's this weird clash of trouble and peace, right? In this world, you will have trouble. It's almost as if Jesus is saying like that, expect difficulty. And nobody says, I'm going to run a hard triathlon, or I'm going to compete in a difficult triathlon. It's like that a triathlon by its very nature is difficult. And maybe you're one of those people that just can run and ride a bike and swim for miles and miles and miles, and you're like, let's do another. But for most people, entering into that it's really difficult. It's challenging. And so Jesus is saying, life as a follower of mine, it's going to be troublesome. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be 2021s in your life. And yet, as we look back on this, what a cool opportunity to build character, because Jesus says, I've overcome the world, right? Whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or a lifetime of trouble, we can step back and look at the perspective that Jesus has, that we can have peace because we go, God, you're building character within me. You're doing something in your kingdom. And what a cool invitation to have that perspective when times get difficult, when the going gets tough, of going, God, I'm excited about what you're doing in me. I'm excited about what you're doing in your kingdom. I want to have that perspective as I go into 2022 of where things might get worse and it might get difficult and it might get hard, and yet a cool invitation of praying with Jesus to go, thank you that I can have peace because you've overcome the world. Now in the midst of trouble, God, I'm excited to see what character you're building in me and what you're going to do in your kingdom. Thanks, Toasters. We'll see you tomorrow.